Welcome in, welcome in. All right, y'all. I gotta run this back one more time. I'm sorry. Okay, so all good. Welcome to the Dream Office Framework. Sorry for the tardiness. Sorry, I'm tardy to my own party, but y'all, I ain't even pressed the go live button. Oh, all right, so we're gonna jump right into it. Thank you for joining me at the Dream Offers Framework. Today, we're gonna be talking about how we create irresistible offers for our customers and clients. Whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur or an established one, or maybe you're just a spectator, I want to thank you for joining me today. Okay. So listen up as I give more gratitude also to StreamYard, this platform that allows me to go live on various platforms. I'm also streaming directly onto my YouTube platform, and you can also watch this on my LinkedIn page. That's amazing. So, for any of my creative entrepreneurs who are looking to host their own webinar or event, you can go ahead and receive $10 in a discount for using StreamYard once you use my affiliate link, which I'll drop towards the end of this session. Okay. So, just real quick, from a testimony and experience, I'm really enjoying StreamYard. I have not used many platforms for webinar use, which is very different than just running a regular virtual event. But I'm enjoying StreamYard because it is super user friendly, easy to use. Okay. And I just want to put this out there that I've also played with some of the features on Zoom, and Zoom tends to be a little bit more complex because it has more features than StreamYard does, which can be really helpful for your event depending on what's going into it. However, I'm really enjoying the user friendliness and the ease of StreamYard. So please, by all means, if you're considering StreamYard or hosting a webinar and you want to try it out, go ahead and grab this discount code. All right. Next, we're going to jump into our overview for today. So, today we're going to be talking about how to identify our dream clientele. Okay. Then we're going to talk about how to craft an offer that solves their real problems. And finally, we'll talk about how to make your messaging magnetic and clear. Magnetic and clear. That's what we want to do. Okay. So, even if I have aspiring entrepreneurs, or maybe you're just a spectator and you're kind of just listening in, I want you to also think about what maybe some of your problems are and how you can solve them by creating an offer. If you can solve your own problems, guess who else's problems you can solve? 100%. You can also solve others people's problems, right? Because that's how we do things, right? We learn from experience and then we share the wealth by communicating with others about that experience, and then how we use the particular solution to solve that issue, right? So, I want you to keep that in mind, whether you are already running an operation or not, that you can solve your own problems by creating an offer. Okay, so just wanted to reintroduce myself once again. My name is Shayna Hewitt. I am a coach and consultant for small business owners, for individuals that's interested in bettering their health and fitness, and also for my community builders. Okay, I help small business owners create frameworks around their business so that they're able to improve their cash flow. So that's the conversation that we're having today. And I'm going to give you some other examples later on during this presentation. But let's jump right into it. Let's talk about how to identify our dream clientele. And for those of my challengers that are here, especially if you're in the room, if you're not in the room, but you're on YouTube, that's all good. I want you to make sure that you grab your dream client avatar worksheet. Shout out to my challengers one time. This is the last day of the Small Biz Big Wins Challenge that we started in May, where we spent time really investing in crafting an offer for our clients and understanding who our clients is so that we can sell those irresistible offers directly to the people that need them, right? So shout out to you guys, Terry, Renee, and Deborah. Really appreciate you and your effort during the challenge has been amazing. All right, so We want to talk about what kind of people we've helped before. And again, even if you're a spectator or you're an aspiring entrepreneur, so that means that you are not currently operating a small business, you currently don't have any offers that you're actively selling. But I want you to think about this anyway. What kind of people have you helped before? Because we're helping people all the time. Our family, our friends, definitely. But of course, strangers and then customers that we come across at work. What kind of people were they? So, for those of us who do have our client avatar worksheet, that is the first section on your sheet is just the basic demographics. I want you to think about what these people looked like, their age, where they live, their gender identity, their relationship status, whether they're single, married, widow, divorced. Do they have children? Even down to their occupation and education level. Now, this is all important because it all encompasses all of the information we need to know when we're crafting our offer and then also when we're creating a marketing message. So, we need to know this basic information from our demographics. What kind of people have you helped before? If it's helpful in the process to write out their names, write out their age, what you help them with. Even think about what people tend to ask you for help for. And where do you feel confident in your skill set or just in your experience and your wisdom that you've helped people before? So I'll give you an example for me. As you've heard, I'm also a fitness coach. So as I look at the demographics of all of the individuals I've helped before, it's a very wide range, y'all. Okay. I've helped individuals in their adolescence. I've helped both men and female individuals lose weight, gain weight, muscle mass. I've helped demographics between the ages of 14 and 60 plus, and I still do today. However, for my coaching packages, I have to create a very specific market message when I'm talking to particular individuals. And so, what I've done was I've taken the majority of my demographic and my offer goes to the majority because those are the people in which my product and services speak to. So, while I've helped both men and women, my market message actually speaks directly to women. While I've helped adolescents in their fitness journey before, my market message actually speaks directly to women over the age of 30. And while I've helped individuals who lived all over the nation, so all over America, right? Because I've done virtual coaching. I'm very clear about the expectations around my in-person training sessions and what that looks like because I'm in New York. So I can only help in person a demographic who lives in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, or Pennsylvania, any neighboring states, right? That it's 2 hours or less to commute to, right? So it's important to speak to the majority of your demographic, of your clientele base. So you want to know that. Next, what are the top three personal values? Excuse the typo, is what are the top three personal values for your demographic? Now, it's important to understand what their values are for two reasons. When we talk about our dream clientele, y'all, this is not just customers, this is not just leads, this is not just clientele. We're talking about our dream clientele for our dream business. This is the people that want our product and service, that wants us to deliver it to them, right? So they don't want to go to our competitors. They come here because they trust us, or we're building that relationship and they're interested in what we got to talk about with them or what we have to offer them. We want to very much so align with those clientels because they're our dream clients. They're the ones that are willing to give us cash because of the relationship that we've built with them, which in turn helps us, our cash flow helps us to sustain our business, to scale and sustain our business, if not to sell it, right? To make it profitable. So we want to know what their top three personal values are. We don't need a list. We just need three things, the top three, because that's where most of their attention is going. Even though there's more, their top three is always going to be with regards to their family, or maybe it's something with their work, their career, and their profession. Maybe it's some information that they received from their doctor, like in my case, right? A lot of times, my fitness clients don't come to me because they love working out or because they love exercise. It's because they essentially have some sort of health issue, complication, or are unsatisfied where they are. And so they want to do better and to make improvements because of the other personal values that they care about. Ultimately, this is the problem that needs to be solved in order for them to give their attention to those top three things. So you want to know what they care about. And again, for my challengers, that was number 2. I think I have to put it here. That was number 2 on your client worksheet. What are their top 3 personal values? Make sure that you fill that out, because out of all of the questions that's actually on these pages on your worksheets, that is literally one of the most important questions. If not, there's only 3 on there that really helps us to craft our offer. Okay? So we want to understand what they care about, and then we go right into the next question that's still underneath the psychographics of the worksheet, is what do they deeply care about? So maybe family is one of the personal values that makes it on their top 3 of the list of what they care about. But what they deeply care about insinuates what keeps them up at night. What is a burning problem? What are they constantly talking about over and over and over again? What's holding them back? What are they struggling with? Right? In order to get to the next step, we want to understand what that is, because your offer needs to solve that problem, or you now have the opportunity to create an offer that solves that problem, especially if it's within your scope, right? If that's in your lane, if that's in your skill set, that's your talent, and that's your passion, then you get to create something that solves that problem for them. You will always know what people care about because they'll tell you. You can ask them, but chances are, if you spend 5-10 minutes maximum in a conversation with anyone, you've heard one of their problems. And so you know what they care about, okay? Deeply. Just for anyone who I've always loaned this information, if you're a type of aspiring entrepreneur and you're still searching for the kind of problems to solve for your clientele, your potential customers, it's mostly going to be around money, making more money, right? Just like we're here in this conversation, building frameworks for more cash flow. Okay. It's going to be health and relationships, especially romantic and intimate ones. Okay. Those professions and businesses do really well because this is what people care a lot about, deeply care about. Next bullet point. What shared values or traits do your favorite past clients have in common? Okay. What shared values or traits do your favorite past clients have in common? You want to start to connect the dots of what the common traits are. What is the issue that most people are having, or what's the solution that they're looking for? Connect the dots. Are they using some of the same keywords? So if they're speaking the same language, then you know that this is a shared value or trait. I just told you the top 3 things that people are literally searching for on Google, and you can research this yourself. What are the top? Give it top 5. What are the top 5 things people are looking for? I just mentioned 3 of the 5. People are constantly relating on the topics of money, how to make more of it specifically. Okay. Another common topic is going to be health, how to improve it. And the other is going to be relationships. And what kind of relationships? Because all things are relative anyway. Am I talking about relationship with my mom? Am I talking about relationship in a romantic relationship? Romantic relationships tend to stand out a lot more than some other relationships. Not saying that there aren't, right? You get to choose your niche based off of your talents, passion, your skill set, but this is what people care about. So we have shared values around that. Think about yourself. Don't you care about those things? Aren't they high priorities on your list? Your health, money, and relationships? Okay. So you want to find out, but what's even more of the trend that you're coming across in particular? Because, like I said, it could be a romantic relationship, but maybe it's familial. People are nowadays, we're talking more about our parents and or our guardians, the people that we grew up with, and how their behaviors impact the way that we behave as adults, and this unlearning of things. And if you look now, trauma is a keyword that's highly sought after and searched on Google. Okay. So there's a lot of professions now that's specific to healing childhood trauma. These are conversations that weren't had just 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Forget about it. We weren't talking about how to heal childhood trauma to this magnitude, but now we are. So that's a space for offers because people are searching for solutions to that. Okay. Next, bullet point. Where do your ideal clients usually spend their time, online and offline? Now, this is essential to crafting your offer because you might actually have a tangible product to offer. Okay. So if you're doing that, that is offline, or you have products and services that you can offer online. Like this virtual session is one offer that I have for you, my ideal client. Okay. So this is online. But how much time does my ideal client spend online? Like maybe you hop off this webinar and you shut down devices for the rest of the weekend. Well, now that changes the way that I would offer to you, right? I'm not going to be in your inbox or set up a bunch of events on the weekend if I know that you shut down on the weekend and you're not online as much as you are on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Okay. So it's really important to identify how much time are they spending online? Do they shop online more than they walk into brick and mortar, or vice versa? Because I have a lot of clients who I set up this, have a whole Etsy shop, and it was filled with all kinds of products and services. And when I would wear my own t shirts and advertise them and say, hey, you could purchase it through my Etsy shop, they said, oh, I don't really like to shop online. I'd rather you bring it in person. Now, this isn't one person that said that. It was the majority of the group. They would prefer that I bring my products in person. They can see it, feel it, make their decisions in person, and pay cash if they can, versus having to put their information into a maybe secure service, right? Or they don't have to wait for it because instant gratification always sells better than delayed. Okay. So if I could purchase it and have it today, I'd rather do that than having to purchase it and wait for a couple days or sometimes a couple weeks. Okay, so understanding where they're spending a lot of time through conversation that you're having with them is important. It helps you to craft your offer. Now, I might have this tangible product, but how do I turn this tangible product into a virtual product? Because that's where they spend the most time. Okay, so we want to receive feedback and information because that helps us to craft a better offer. And finally, y'all, but not really finally, just finally on this slide, our last bullet point is I want you to think about who receives the best results or transformation from working with you. What does that client look like? And what was the feedback about your product or service? So, going forward, for my small business owners, it is really important that you are collecting reviews, testimonials, and what have you, so that others can see the transformation and the results that you are helping people with. That is important. So I appreciate as much as possible when my clients engage with me. So I send them a prompt in order for them to engage with me. Maybe I actually send them a link to provide a review about my service. Maybe I just come out and ask them straight from my mouth, hey, would you mind providing a testimonial about my webinar that you attended? How was it? What was the experience like for you? And give me both sides. I want to hear what you really enjoyed about it and what you wish was better. Thank you for the feedback because it helps me to improve so that you have a better experience when you come back next week. Okay. We want to ask straight out, which, by the way, please provide me with that feedback. I've definitely been getting a lot of feedback in regards to the webinar. So I hope that you're enjoying the improvements so far and keep them coming. Okay. Now, on the other side of this is really taking the feedback and using it to craft your offer to make it better alongside with being able to present it to your future customers, right? So, what do you do when you go to Amazon and there's a brand new product, a new brand of a particular thing that you want to purchase? I just purchased a pair of resistance bands from Amazon. Before I hit the checkout button, though, I scrolled to the bottom of the page and I found the reviews. I want to see what people are saying about this product or this brand before I purchase it because more than likely, the majority of people that had this experience, I'm going to fall in the pool of the majority. I might be the one off person that has a great experience and has nothing to say. But what's the difference between going to a 5-star hotel and going to a 1? Or what's the difference between purchasing a product on Amazon that has 4.7 out of 5 versus a 2.5? We're going to look for the ones that have better reviews, right? Because we want to improve the odds of us having a good experience with this product or service. So when we're shopping, when we're through the lens of a consumer, it's good that we have that perspective, right? Because we want to ensure that we are understanding of what our consumer wants, right? What our leads, how they're looking at our products and services, right? And then on the back end, we want to be able to provide that for our clientele that's looking at this product or service. Hey, it's very likely that you're going to have the same transformation if you are aligned with my offer, which I believe that can solve your problem. Okay, so that's really important to understand who receives the best results or transformation from working with you. Now, how specific can you get about this? That's really important. So, we want to look at how to craft an offer that solves their real problems, right? So what does your dream customer deeply care about? We talked about that in a previous on the previous slide. That's one of the bullet points. And now we're going to isolate this bullet point because again, we are wanting to solve problems. So I want you to think about this. When you are introducing yourself or when you're talking about what you do, right? That's a common question when we meet new people is, so what do you do? And we can say our just the title of our profession or the title of our position in our workspace, or we can talk about what we do, like the actual transformation, the actual payoff, the actual solution that comes through the vehicle of our product, our service, or our position. So when we opened up this webinar, when I introduced myself as Shana Hewitt, I also said that I'm a coaching consultant. And then I told you what I'm a coach and consultant of, right? I help small business owners build frameworks to create more cash flow, right? I'm a coaching consultant in fitness. I give and advise a lot of information to minority women over the age of 30 about how to improve their health, right? I also community build. I work in various spaces in minority communities as well that talks about monetizing our creations, that talk about how to build more support frameworks for the things that we deeply care about, right? So, one of the things that I often say is that we actually go faster and further together. There's a saying that says, you want to go fast, go alone, you want to go far, go together, right? I believe we could do both when we're in community. So the things that you care about, you don't want to be isolated and care about them by yourselves. You want to find all the like-minded people that care about the same thing too and join that community, because there's a plethora of us that actually share common values and traits, right? One of the other bullet points from the previous page. But when we're talking about crafting our offer now, y'all, which again, even for my spectators that's here, whether you are operating a business or not, or my aspiring entrepreneurs, I'd say as well. When you're crafting an offer, it's important that this offer solves a problem. So I won't just go and say that I help, I'm a fitness instructor, right? I'm going to talk about what the payoff in the process is. Like, I help women over 30 lose up to 20 pounds within 6 months, guaranteed. Right? So I want to sell the transformation. I want people to see themselves, right? The individuals who are looking to lose up to 20 pounds, I want them to see them losing 20 pounds in 6 months. Not even just that I'm a fitness instructor or that I help people lose weight, but I help you lose how much weight and how much amount of time. Like, how long do I have to do this thing before I start to see results? That is a question that I get most often. So I offer the answer in my market message. Does that make sense? So if I'm coming across individuals that deeply care about losing weight and up to a certain amount of pounds, my solution is going to be a part of my offer. When I set up my program, my coaching programs that helps people lose up to 20 pounds in 6 months or less, okay, that is a part of the message. That is the way that the program is designed. So you're not doing one particular type of exercise, right? So the package is not just going to be revolve around cardio, it's going to include strength and condition, high intensity training, and mobility work. Okay, it's going to be designed so that you actually receive that transformation. Okay, and I know that you care about this, and I know why you care about it. I know what it feels like to be overweight. Personally, I do. Okay. And I've also listened and I've heard it directly from you that you care about being overweight, or that you want to look better in your clothes. Had a conversation today about fitting into clothes that we already have and not having to buy a new size and a new size up. To just another indication about how overweight we are, because we know that it just gets worse when we don't do anything about it. So we're looking for solutions to do something about it, and we want to be proactive about how worse it can get. I meet people that deeply care about this all the time. What pant size they fit in, what dress size that they fit into, what how their family feels about it, or whether they can work out on their own or they need accountability coaching because they can't, because they spend too much time at work and they don't know where to fit it in, but they really want to do this thing. You have to know what people care about. So for any of my educators, my instructors, my coaches, my consultants, my advisors, even if you've been working in a particular job for X amount of years, you're not just this position. So when you introduce yourself, don't just introduce yourself as an accountant, right? I help people do what? I help businesses do what? So a really great formula is I help X with Y through Z. Write that down for me. I help X. Let me see if I can get it in the chat real quick. Well, that's for those of you who are in the room with Y by Z. Let me see if I can actually get it up here too so that you can see. Boop. Comments. I help X with Y through Z. Hey, appreciate you, Pro Gamer. Thank you for being in the room. Oops, I dropped that twice, but here, let's show it. Boom. Can y'all see that? I hope you can. Here we go. I help Y with Z. This is your formula from now on. When you're introducing yourself or you're talking about your product and your service, you're talking about what you help with. Okay. Who you help. Sorry. I help who? That's X. X is who. With Y is what, and Z is how. So I help, right? I help minority small business owners, okay, with their frameworks through my weekly webinars. That's just one example. And and it could get even clearer than that. And this is great practice because once you write one, I want you to get even more specific. Okay? So you heard one, right? I help small business owners create frameworks that creates more cash flow in their business. I help minority small business owners create frameworks that creates more cash flow in their business. I help minority business owners over the age of 30, okay, create solid frameworks that creates 20% more cash flow in their business. Do you understand? I want you to get as specific as possible because this helps you to find and identify your dream clientele, not just any client. You know why, y'all? Because any client can sometimes produce big headaches. When you're not aligned with your client, oh my goodness. And even worse, if you sign clients up like I do, so my personal training packages in fitness, I require a 3-month commitment up front. Now imagine signing up with a client for 3 months only to find out that they don't pay on time, that they're lazy, that they don't show up to meetings, that they're constantly canceling, that they don't do the work. And then we agreed to 3 months of this. Sometimes when you contract workers, you agreed to 12 months in advance, a year, 18 months, sometimes longer, right? Think about when you're doing housework and you hire contractors, okay? And then you find out that they're doing a poor job. When you are this specific about who you help, you eliminate all of the poor clientele that doesn't align with your offer anyway. Stop trying to help everyone and start helping your dream client. The person or the business that you created your offer for is who should get it. So we want to be very clear about who we're helping, what we're helping them with, and then through how is your product or your service. That is the vehicle. Okay. So if I help women over 30 lose up to 20 pounds in 6 months or less through my 90-day program. My 90-day program is the vehicle through which they will lose the 20 pounds in under 6 months. I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. If you're on StreamYard and you're in the room, you're in the studio with me, drop me a comment. Let me know you're picking up what you're putting down. Please ask questions. I really appreciate it, and I want to be able to address any of your comments or concerns, or let me know that this is good information that we're picking down or picking up what I'm putting down. I appreciate that. And same thing if you're streaming on YouTube or LinkedIn, leave it in the comments. I'll get back to you. Okay. All right, so you need to understand what keeps your potential clients up at night or what they deeply care about, what they constantly talk about, what do they stress about. Okay. Next. Now we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into what we already were presenting here is how to make your message magnetic and clear, right? So, I mean, how much clearer does it get when you're as specific as mentioning the demographic that you're helping, when you're touching on the psychographics, meaning what they deeply care about or what aligns with their personal values, and that you are advertising that on your product and your service, whether that's your website, whether that's your social media pages. I mean, all of these things, or even if it's just in conversation like we are here today. So, how to make your messaging magnetic and clear is to number one, ensure that you're speaking your customers' lingo. So we don't just want to use our small business jargon, for example, right? So if I say that I help small business owners, although I mean you you want to start to understand what this jargon is, but if you don't, if I right off the bat we meet and you ask me what I do, and I say I help small business owners create irresistible PVOs so that they convert 20% more than they are right now. Now, even a small business owner might say, well, what's a PVO? Because there's different terminologies in small business. I don't want to just assume that all small business owners and entrepreneurs know what a PVO is. Okay. By the way, when I say PVO, I mean a premium value offer. Even that, those three words, you still may not know what that means, especially if you speak another lingo. And I made sure I put lingo and not language because I don't want to I don't want you to get confused between actual cultural languages. Lingo. So there was we even one of the webinars that we did in the recent past, someone said that they called a particular terminology something else, right? I believe it was um the word was lead, and then there was another terminology. But for example, a lead is a potential client. Maybe you don't use lead, but you say potential clients, right? But they're synonymous, they one and the same. When I say premium value offer, that's a high ticket offer. They're one and the same. Okay. Premium value offers tend to be higher price, so they're high ticket offers. And these are words that are used in the entrepreneurial realm. But I want to make sure that I'm not using acronyms. I want to make sure that I'm not using a lot of words, and definitely not big words that people need to go and look it up what it means, right? I'm going to say I help small business owners craft irresistible offers that their customers have a hard time saying no to, right? We could probably pick up at least what an offer is, but if not, an offer breaks down to either a product or a service. I help small business owners craft irresistible products and services that makes it hard for their dream clientele to say no to. While that was lengthy, it's probably clear on who I help, right? It's probably clear on what the offer is, what kind of help I deliver, right? And the only thing that I didn't mention was my process, my Z, right? So I can add that on. And even though it's lengthier, as long as it is legible, as long as it's comprehensible, as long as it's simple, keep it simple so that anybody, especially your dream client, can understand, then that's the way to go. Ensure that you're speaking their lingo. When you're reading back your customer reviews and testimonials, how are they speaking? Okay. The way that you might present an offer to a group of people in Calabasas, California, is not going to be the same that you speak to individuals in the Bronx of New York. Just saying, they're two different demographics. That's all. So the market message, although they have shared problems, they want shared solution, they have shared values, right? The people in the Bronx in New York, the people in Calabasas, right? They could have shared values and even shared problems, but still your message is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be communicated differently because they speak different lingo. So we want to make sure that the message is clear to who you're offering it to. Next, we mentioned this earlier, so I just want to re-emphasize that you want to advertise the payoff and the transformation that your product and service is going to give. So you're no longer just a yoga instructor. You help women or whichever demographic that you choose to have a pain-free body through consistent yoga and movement. Maybe it's monthly, maybe it's weekly. You're going to get as specific as possible with that, right? So I'm not just a yoga instructor, but I help individuals who experience chronic pain become more pain-free through monthly yoga flows or through monthly hatha yoga flows or through monthly hot yoga flows. Okay, I'm not a yoga instructor, so I'm making this up, but I hope that you're picking up what I'm putting down. Regardless of what lane you're in, that you're selling your product or service or looking to craft an offer. Okay, this is the same even if you're educating. Maybe it's, hey, Shay, I don't know if I'm going to actually create a product, or I don't know that I'm going to offer a particular service. I want you to know that even as you're creating content, as you're speaking to people, as you're creating content for your social media platform and you're talking about what you do, this still stands. It's still the same. You want to communicate the payoff or the transformation. You're going to have to tell people what solution, what your solution is to that particular problem. They need to connect the dots by you talking about the transformation, just as I have with an example of being a fitness instructor who helps people to lose up to 20 pounds in under 6 months. That's the transformation and the payoff. So before I even talked about my 90-day program that does that, I spoke about the transformation and the payoff first. They don't even get the process, the 90-day process, until they understand the payoff and the transformation. So that needs to be clear and written out for my challengers from the Small Biz Big Wins on your worksheet. That's under number 6, the connection to you. What transformation can you promise this person? Fill that out. So remember, I told you there's 3 on here that's really important on your worksheet that I'm outlining as the top 3 that you need to be very clear on what your transformation and payoff is. And that is what you talk about. So whenever you hear someone talking about their problem or solution, it's, oh, I've helped a person just like you before come to the same transformation that you're looking for. It's not, I've helped a client just like you before through my 90-day program. While that's not wrong, because you might get someone, your dream client, that's interested in hearing more about the 90-day program with you communicating that first. However, there's a possibility or a higher probability that it could fall through the cracks because they don't even know to ask. That's how much we have to help our clients come to a conclusion that we are offering the solution to their problem. So it's very possible that they just might say, oh, okay, that's nice. Even though you disclose that you help them reach the transformation, you want to be mindful that, remember, it's XYZ. The Y comes before the Z. We want to keep it that way. We're not reinventing the wheel. This is what all marketers do, okay? Unless they're large brands where people are already familiar with their brand, so they have a little bit more leeway. Right. So, advertise the payoff and the transformation next after you describe who you're helping. Super important. And then final bullet point here is use bold headlines. So, your boldest, biggest, and brightest headline is the problem that you're solving, the transformation or the payoff. So, if you're currently marketing a product or a solution or a service, a product or a service as the boldest thing on your graphic or on your marketing material, I want you to think about making that one a little bit smaller and enlarging the payoff or the transformation. So instead of it just being a let's use the example of an auto parts store. Okay, so people who drive cars are the people that go to auto parts store. Right, I was actually thinking about that today while I was on the bus. Right, this auto parts store that I pass almost daily, I never go there, and then I had the epiphany that I'd go there if I had a car, or how many people or what kind of people actually go there. People that have cars, right, for the most part. And on an auto parts shop, right, even though it's clear that they sell car parts, so I have a car and there's an auto parts store, right? But what do they specialize in? What are they really good at? Or what do most of their clients come there for? That's key. The way to know that is by what their headlines say. So an auto parts store might advertise at their auto parts, but then they might have a really big sign right next to it that says, "We fix flats in 10 minutes or less." That could be their specialty, that they fix flat tires in 10 minutes or less. What's going to make them stand apart from their competitors? Because also check this out. When you see one auto parts shop, there's usually two or three that's within the same perimeter, not four. Sometimes they're right next door, okay, a few feet away. But what makes them stand out? Because they're both auto parts shop, but where do I want to go? Well, if most of this auto parts shop is converting at a higher percent for changing flats in under 10 minutes, maybe just and maybe the auto parts shop next door can do the same thing, but maybe they have a longer line of service for something else. So while they could change a flat and do it in under 10 minutes, I first have to wait 20, 30 minutes before they can even get to my car, before they can service me. But maybe this auto parts shop doesn't. So what do? They leverage off of the opportunity to do the same service as their competitor, but they're advertising that they do it, and they do it in less than 10 minutes. And because they turn over so quickly, if they're doing it in 10 minutes, even if they had a long line, they're only spending 10 minutes with the customer anyway. So I'm still avoiding spending 30 minutes of my time waiting before they can even service me in my car, okay, by opting out of the competitor and going directly to this shop. Does that make sense, y'all? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? You want to advertise your payoff and your transformation. I want to get my time back. So I would love if my flat was fixed in under 10 minutes. And this shop says that they do that. I could see it clear as day on the sign that they put out there. Okay, so there's no confusion of where I'm going. We don't want our dream clients to be confused by our competitors who are offering similar products and services. And the best way to do that is to advertise in bold headlines what the payoff or the transformation is. So I'm no longer just a fitness instructor. I'm a fitness instructor that can help you get to your goals in 6 months or less, guaranteed. If not, money back, right? Whatever it is that you're offering to, because you are confident in your solution to this problem, that you can do that. And if you can't do that, which is going to be a slim chance or a low probability that you can't, well, then you receive whatever, a certain percentage off to the next month, or the money back guaranteed, or maybe you do a trial to begin with, so that there's low risk, there's no risk. So you just try it, and if you like it, great. Then you can continue your subscription, or you can opt in to purchase the product in full. So we want to make loud and proud what transformation or payoff that we're offering, and lead with that. So for small business owners, when I've done my research, there's, out of hundreds of problems that we can go through as entrepreneurs, the top three is always with regard to cash flow. The top two are managing cash flow, having cash flow to manage at that, and then funding so that you can scale your business, right? So it's really the top two. That is it. So where do I center my frameworks? These webinars are centered around creating offers, because that's what generates revenue. You can get an LLC, you can have an EIN, but you're actually not in business until you're generating revenue, right? So if anybody has watched Shark Tank here, or any other investment programming or content, aside from just entertainment, listen to what the trends are, right? With the investors, they won't invest in your company unless they know what first? That you've made a sale, that you make consistent sales week over week, month over month, especially year over year. Why? Because they're investing in your business. They want their money back. So they need to know first, before they invest into your business, right? This capital, this funding that you're looking for, you're not going to get it until you have proven sales. So it's really important to solidify your framework for your offers, okay? So that you can produce income and revenue, not just for profit, but so that you can scale your business beyond the profit that you're ultimately going to receive. Okay, as long as your numbers are correctly. And we can dive deeper into that. You can let me know what holds, or what keeps you up at night about your business, and we'll address that during these webinars, right? So let's continue to talk about how to craft offers. And as we come to the end of this particular presentation today, I also want to add in, because we're talking about business, but going forward, I want you, and actually I need you, to get into the flow of actually creating offers to solve all of your money problems. If you have a money issue, or maybe you don't have an issue, but you would like more, the key going forward is not to get another job. If you already have a job, great. But you will never be paid more than that position allows for. They've created a position. When you go on that website and you apply for it, they're going to tell you how much you can expect within a year. Even with bonuses, right? You're not going to make more than that in the bonus. They're going to explicitly tell you that if you want to make more money within that same company, that you need to move up the ladder. And moving up the ladder means more responsibilities. I want you to think about making money for your own business going forward instead of someone else's business for once. Okay? How can you put more income into your own personal business, right? If you're not operating a small business that's centered around other people and their problems, I want you to understand your problems is still your business, right? And you still want to create an offer to solve it. As we age, there's going to come a point where not only we can't work anymore on helping other companies make more money for their business, but also that we don't want to, right? Because when we are in charge of the cash flow that comes into our experience, that affords us the time to do other things. That's how it works. So we either work for employers where we trade our time for income, or we create offers. We create offers and we generate more cash flow in our experience that allows us to dictate what happens next, how much time we need to give or want to give into a thing before we make additional decisions. So instead of saying, I can't afford this thing, because there's a fine line between acknowledging something like that and affirming it. We tend to perpetuate affirming that we don't have enough capital, that we don't have enough funding, that we can't afford something, and that things are just too expensive, especially without a comparison, right? Because it's expensive compared to something else. But sometimes we'll place a period at the end of that sentence, just really insinuating and emphasizing with the universe that we don't have no money for this thing. And so we can only continue to have that experience because that's the way that we've affirmed it. So there's a fine line between acknowledging a current experience and affirming that experience to continue. And I want to offer to you today two things. And here's the first thing: that whenever you need more money going forward, I want you to think about creating an offer to sell. And you're going to price it at minimum to cover your problem. So when you have a need for money, instead of just affirming that you don't have money for the thing, I want you to acknowledge, meaning become aware of the situation, and then you're going to move mentally in the space of a solution. Because when you create an offer and you sell that offer, that creates cash flow that you can use to settle your problem. Understand? This is the framework of our mindset that we want to have going forward, because there's only but so many jobs you can work. There's only but so much time that you can trade in order to receive more income, because we all only have 24 hours in a day, and at least 8 hours of it is already dictated to sleep, not even work, sleep. We have to sleep into a new day anyway. So by the time that you get up, your resource, your most essential resource, time, because you can't get it back, is already being used just by you sleeping, by being unconscious, y'all. So how much more time do you have to invest into another employer that already says you can only make up to this amount of money? And this is with unexpected problems that you will have in the future. You can't foresee it. So what happens when that problem exceeds how much money you're going to make within a year at this employer? Your additional income, or even your passive income, y'all, is your small business. So maybe your dreams is to not scale your business to be this multi-million dollar or billion-dollar business. That's all good. Most entrepreneurs actually start their businesses with an exit strategy in mind. They already know they're going to sell their business. They don't want to run a business long term. Maybe your small business is short term because your problem is short term. I want you to create as many offers as you can that's going to solve your own problem. Once you do that, guess what? You're definitely in business. When you solve a problem for yourself, you know how to solve it for others who have a similar problem. That's how it works, y'all. This is it's not this is not it doesn't have to be as complicated as it's already written out to be as a starting entrepreneur or as a entrepreneur in the early growth stage. There's a lot of complexities because there's a lot of moving parts. But the main issues that you're going to face in the beginning and in the end is cash flow. Okay? So when creating more cash flow for yourselves, I want you to create an offer as the solution. Create an offer as a solution. Sell the offer to the person who needs it, your dream client, and then you get to decide on what happens next. So that's one offer that I have for anyone who's in the room, whether you're a small business owner or not, whether you're in the early growth stages or not. When you walk forward from now on, you are going to thoughtfully shift to the solution being an offer that you can sell to someone else that'll create cash flow in your experience. And my final offer is, because I mentioned to you that I have two, is I'm offering my Dream Team membership for my dream small business owners. Okay, that's you. To join my Dream Team membership free for 1 month. Inside of this Dream Team memberships, you'll have access to toolkits that I use. Okay, this is what helped me to build my small business up to this point, as well as subject matter expert guidance. You'll have access to one of my main toolkits is going to be my curated playlists for small business owners. I mean, the information and the content is endless, obviously, out there, right? YouTube University. But what's on this playlist has been profound. There's been not just conversations and content, but actionable steps to walk away with and implement right away so that you can start to see your own payoff and transformation. Really good stuff. And I continuously update it so that you stay fresh and abreast of new information as the world evolves around us. And then we have a book club, which there's also a special offer attached to this. So while you get 1 month free to my Dream Small Business membership, if you purchase Boss Moves by Myron Golden using my affiliate link, we can go further and faster together in growing our small business, aka creating more cash flow. This book is literally my business Bible. Okay. Yeah, I'm saying that. It's my business Bible. It's a paperback, less than 200 pages. Finished it within a month or less. Okay. This is my 4th time reading it already as I apply the principles that's within this book has been foundational. Keyword foundational. That's our framework. And so I want to share those gems with you. And I want to be your accountability buddy. And everybody else that's within this Dream Team community will be reading this as well. I want you to know that if you order it today, you might just make it in time to start reading with us next week. So not this week coming up, but the following week, we begin reading Boss Moves together. So you get to join my book club and have the full experience of the book club for free for 1 month. And there's a whole bunch of other exclusive perks, really discounts on merch and then events that I have coming up for the summer. And of course, you get community because we go further and faster together. When you're doing something alone, especially when it's new, it's easy for it to fall by the wayside, get put on the back burner, especially when you're not having conversations like this. You ever try to have a conversation with someone who knew nothing of what you were talking about? And so it's just kind of like a falling on deaf ears. There's no reciprocation. Let me tell you something. Wealthy people tend to hang out with wealthy people. You're not going to find wealthy people majorly hanging around poor people. That's not how it goes. We thrive in connections with shared value, like we talked about earlier, right? So that's really important, is to make sure that you are in community with the people who are like-minded to things that you care about, and or with the people who you want to be like. Okay, you want to be in the same room with them. So please join my High Vibe Dream community. So purchase your Boss Moves by Myron Golden paperback book. And then you begin reading with us in the next week or so. It takes 7 to 10 business days to show up. So even if you get it a little bit later, you'll be able to catch up because we're going to meet and we're really going to deep dive into some of the principles that stands out for us to create the framework to our business. It's the most important part. That's the only space that we're going to speak about is the foundation, because everything that we build on top of that needs to be on solid ground first. Yeah. So let me go ahead and drop this inside of, boom. I'm gonna drop this in the comment box. It's also going to be attached to the email that you'll receive from me following this webinar. And then additionally, it'll be attached to the description box on my YouTube channel for this particular webinar session. Okay. So you want to cop that immediately. And again, this is really why I highly encourage those of you who can come into the studio with me on StreamYard. It's much beneficial to be able to grab these offers in the moment, because I'm sharing it right here inside of the studio. On the back end, when you're streaming on YouTube, if you don't have the option, understandable, but if you have the option to come into the studio, you'll get everything right in the moment. Whereas on the back end, just give me a few moments, because this program has to upload first after we end the stream, and then I can add it to the description box so that you can upload it there. Or again, I have to update the addresses in the email that's already pre-populated, and it'll be sent out this evening. So then you can grab it, but I need you to grab it as soon as possible. So just to be clear, the way that you enter through the Dream Team membership is by purchasing this book and joining the book club. So you're going to read with us. You get 1 month free, so you get access to the other things that's inside of the Dream Team membership, which is the toolkits, the expert guidance, the exclusive perks, and then engagement with the community. That comes through purchasing Myron Golden's book using my affiliate link. You must use the link that I just dropped inside of the chat, or that will be attached to your email when I send it out. Okay. And this is the final message, by the way, about entering the Dream Team membership through this affiliate link. Today's the last day, because everybody else who orders it beyond today is not going to receive it on time to start with the book club. Okay. So, and just to be clear, you get 1 month free. If you choose to continue on with the membership, and you choose that because you find the other things inside of the Dream Team membership valuable, maybe it's just a book club, but maybe you also appreciate that curated YouTube playlist that I talked about that's going to help you in your small business along the way. Or maybe you enjoy the access to toolkits I've talked about today, this Dream Client Avatar worksheet. Okay, so I provide worksheets and templates. You'll have a central space so that you can grab whatever templates that you need for no additional cost, and any other discounts to events that are paid, but you'll receive a discount to it. Or maybe you like some of the small business teas that's on my Etsy shop, right? So you get those at a discount as well. So that's inside of the Dream Team membership. So if the information is useful to you, therefore you get to pay $13 monthly. Okay. Otherwise, if you choose to sign up after, beyond your 1 month trial, it's $35 a month. Okay. So you get it 1 month free purchasing Myron Golden's Boss Moves book using my affiliate link. Okay. After the 30-day trial, then you get the opportunity to opt in for $13 a month. If you bypass that opportunity, but you decide later on that it's for you, that's okay too. But just know that the prices are going to be a little bit different. This offer is specific to those who come in through this entry point through the book club. All right. So that's how it works. I'm really excited to read this book, and I'm really excited to read this book in community. So we have a few people who have already purchased their book. There's nothing that I love more than an intimate space. I'm not going to lie, because we get to talk to one another and engage more and really focus on us, versus being in think about an auditorium inside of a school versus being in a classroom, right? Is more attentive and intimate when you're inside of a classroom versus the auditorium. So this is the space that's being provided here, and is only up from here, y'all. This is how we're growing and scaling our business. I greatly appreciate and value your time. We're just coming up on 90 minutes. I don't have any questions today, but I see that I had a few people in the studio. I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me your time to share. Please go ahead. If you have questions or you have feedback or there's a concern that you want to address, email me. You have my email, shanacreates@proton.me. That is where I email you from. That is how you received word about this webinar today. So you can go ahead and email me at shanacreates@proton.me. That'll also be left in the description box on YouTube and on LinkedIn. And yeah, don't forget that if you are looking to use StreamYard to host your own events and webinar, that also I'll leave that discount code and have the referral link here. Let me go ahead and copy it one more time. And then I'll be sure to make sure that that is, there we go. Now it's on the screen. Okay. New to streaming or looking to level up, check out StreamYard and get $10 discount. Ooh. For StreamYard.com. Love this platform. I really appreciate Disruptor DAO for allowing me to utilize their platform to host this webinar today. And with that, my friends, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday and weekend. I'll see you in your inbox. Peace. And see you next weekend for the next webinar.